Darnold played against the Patriots for the first time in Week 17 of 2018. Jets lost that game 28-3. Of course, nothing new there, but Sam had just 167 yards and was sacked 4 times. In 2019, they met for the second time, and that was the game where he was seeing ghost. Sam Darnold was seeing ghost.
Seeing ghosts.
Should Baker Mayfield be the starting quarterback going into this game and get more reps in the scrimmages? I will say this about the situation, though. Matt Rule is keeping buzz around the Panthers because he refused to name a starting quarterback. Another major part of the buzz that the Panthers are getting is because Baker Mayfield is box office. He is box office. If I'm not mistaken, you had Skip and Shannon lead off the show with him yesterday. They talked about him this morning. I just watched the clip on YouTube. And one of the things they were talking about, I think yesterday, Sam Darnold being the guy that will get the nod over Baker in the New England game. I think that is true because Rule said he's letting Baker and Darnold split the reps. Remember, he said that. Baker started last week versus Washington. So by that logic of Matt Rule's, Darnold will get the start against the New England Patriots. This is something that has been done before, but as far as the quarterback splitting the reps and you not knowing who a starter is, of course, I don't think I've ever seen it for the Carolina Panthers, though. So this is something that is new to me as a Carolina fan. And I'm certain of that because Cam was always the guy, QB1, heading into the season. He's the biggest name the Panthers has ever had in the franchise, the best player the Panthers has ever had in the franchise, the only player to win MVP out of that franchise. So no doubt it was always Cam Newton's job. Again, it does come down to the money that Darnold will be making this season as well, and they gave up a lot to get Sam Darnold. He's making around, I think, $19 million. So if you trade him or release him, you still have to pay him in some way. And Baker's making somewhere around $3 million. So you see the big difference there. I think the Panthers are just going to have to chop this one up as a bad investment when it comes to Sam Darnold. Or you could just have him making the most money out of the two quarterbacks while sitting on the bench. For me, there was no reason to go after Baker if you wasn't going to have him start. We can talk about the person with the biggest personality, who's more box office, all the progressive commercials. And again, the only reason the Panthers are being talked about on major sport platforms like Undisputed and leading off the show is because of Baker Mayfield. But despite all of that, the personality, the progressive commercials, just being more box office than Sam Darnold, he's also the better of the two. He's the better quarterback. And the sooner you express that by letting him know he's QB1, he will be more comfortable in the role and will settle in quicker. And you could potentially have him tossing 5 touchdowns in the season opener against his former Cleveland Browns team. So let Darnold get the start against the Patriots, like I'm assuming he will. And then on Monday, let the worst kept secret come out. And of course, Baker has to help that case by playing well. He played well against Washington, but he has to be even better than that because now he's going up against Bill Belichick's defense. Belichick knows both these guys. He knows Sam Darnold the most. Played Baker for the first time in 2019. Baker's second year in the league. The Patriots won that game 27-13. And of course, these are different teams, but the defense got to Baker for 5 sacks in that game, Belichick's defense. Baker had just 194 yards passing and 1 touchdown, and he threw an interception, and his QBR was just 28.6. The second time around was last season, actually. The Patriots beat the Browns down 45-7. Baker left that game in the third quarter with a knee injury. Before he left, he had a touchdown and an interception, and his QBR was 28.8, so just 0.2 higher than 2019. So he's not so hot against the Patriots for the 2 games he's played against them. And I say that, of course, to say they have film on him. And of course, it'll be brought out and used for the joint practices. I know they're in red jerseys and they're not going to be making contact, but just showing how they can get to him. So in turn, Baker have to watch the same film as the Patriots are going to be watching. As tough as it may be to look at, you got to look at the things that you did wrong in that game, and you have to find a way to correct them and to, take away what they're going to be throwing at you. Of course, the coaches are going to have to watch it as well, and knowing how to make adjustments from what they were able to do to Baker in the 2 games that they have on him, that they've played against him. And they were efficient games for the Patriots defense. Darnold, on the other hand, is much more familiar with Belichick. The former Jets quarterback was drafted the same year as Baker, of course, was in the same division with Bill Belichick. So he saw them all the time. They probably went to AFC East retreats, division picnics, joint slumber parties, and things like that. But he's much more familiar with Sam Darnold than Bill Belichick than he was with Baker Mayfield. Darnold played against the Patriots for the first time in Week 17 of 2018. Jets lost that game 28-3. Of course, nothing new there, but Sam had just 167 yards and was sacked 4 times. In 2019, they met for the second time, and that was the game where he was seeing ghosts. Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts.
Seeing ghosts.
Pats won that game 33-0. Darnold tossed 4 interceptions and had just 86 yards. It wasn't pretty. It was not pretty. But he did get that signature win of his career the week prior against them boys. He did beat the Cowboys. And that was probably, that's probably the biggest win of his career. And that's not saying much, considering that he's been in the league for 4 years. And also, to be fair to Darnold, though, they were 1-7 that season after 8 games. The Jets, he was 1-4 in the games he started, but in the final 8 games of the season, he did lead them to a 6-2 record. So that was the greatest stretch of his career. In 2020, he lost another Week 17 game to the New England Patriots, 28-14. It was probably the best game he's ever played against them. Had 266 yards, a touchdown. He had 2 interceptions. But I think that's the best he's ever looked against them, against the Patriots. And that right there, and that 2020 team was a mediocre Patriots team. But that was probably the best he's ever looked against them. So 0-4 career versus them. He did play them in the regular season game last season when he was his first year with the Panthers. He did play the Patriots. They defeated the Panthers 24-6. Darnold threw 3 interceptions, and the offense just didn't show up. They didn't show up, which was just a major problem for Carolina last season. Something we have to, something that we've consistently talked about on this channel, the offense not doing their part for the most part last season, because the defense was not bad. They were not bad. So going back and looking at your past work, to me, and correcting it is a must for both guys in terms of this, these joint practices and scrimmages in the game against the Patriots. We know the results in terms of wins and losses does not matter as much in the preseason because you're not playing the entire game. Playing the best that you could possibly be playing is definitely a must for both guys, because Belichick has the formula to beating Darnold, disguising the blitz. You saw it in that 33-0 seeing ghost wipeout. Darnold, they had no answer for what Belichick was throwing at them. I'm assuming Darnold will get the start, so Baker needs to take some impeccable notes while he's on the bench before he gets in and see what it is that they're doing. Go to the offensive coordinator, McAdoo, make sure they're on the same page in terms of what the Patriots are doing in the game and what they have done in the joint practices. And because I think they know that Baker is the guy, I think the Panthers, I think the writing is on the wall. I think Baker, because you heard Matt Rule talk about McCaffrey not playing in any of the preseason games, but he'll be playing in the joint practices and scrimmages against the Patriots. And you heard him saying that that's really more important than the actual preseason game. And I think he's on to something there. And I think he's trying to tell us something, because don't be surprised. They are out there today and they will be joint practicing tomorrow. Don't be surprised if Baker is getting the majority of the snaps with the first team. And he's starting the scrimmages. He's getting the majority of the snaps and majority of the reps against the Patriots in the scrimmage, but Darnold will get the start against the Patriots Friday in the preseason game. That's pretty much all I have to talk about. Appreciate you guys for taking this time to hear me out. Like, comment, subscribe. Keep pounding.
When people see this, they're going to say, well, he really wasn't a nice guy. He may have been a tyrant. Well, that's because you never won anything. I wanted to win, but I wanted them to win and be a part of that as well. Look, I'm only doing this because it is who I am. That's the way I played the game. That was my mentality. And if you don't want to play that way, then don't play that way. Break.